Like I used to sell stuff in school, like origami. In high school, I was selling like a lunch stuff. So like if you wanted to go and grab lunch from like a really far place, I would charge you a fee. I would sell snacks in Arizona at school. I started small side projects where I'm just selling stuff for resale, like shoes, sneakers, clothing, and so on. So I definitely knew like I like doing business. It gives me more flexibility. Uh, the money to be made is like endless in a sense if you can scale it and like really just have stuff going. So I always thought that I'd probably be in business at the end of the day, but just never to the scale.
Matthew Burzec, the 23-year-old founder of KEYC of Chicago, shares his incredible journey of turning his passion for customizing shoes into a thriving business. From Soulja Boy to the Dallas Cowboys, Matthew reveals the secrets behind his innovative approach to success and how he built an empire one design at a time.
You need to be able to like invest and definitely take some risk. Like not all, obviously all risk is not going to pay off, but like calculated risk is like your friend. Like one of my goals was to like meet Chief Keef, obviously, as you know. And there was just like a bunch of like I had to go to LA 3 different times for just the possibility of meeting him. He could be there, I could pull up, he could be busy, but then now like it all worked out. I'm friends with him, got his contact, been to his house, whatever, been to his shows. When you have a goal like that, it not only helps you grow the business because you have to like make sure your work's on top of your game. It was one of the point where like if I'm trying to work with Chief Keef, he's not gonna work with somebody who has 500 followers. Let me get to 10,000 followers and then start reaching out to him. So you're doing all that work, building your brand while you're trying to get this bigger goal.
Welcome to Motivation Monday. I am so thrilled for this week's episode. We have a very special guest. His name is Matthew Burzec. Matthew Burzec is the founder and owner of KEYC of Chicago. He's a 23-year-old entrepreneur, and I'm so thrilled. Matt, I'm going to give you a little credit here. I'm going to read off some things I researched about you. Your business was founded in 2017 and it originally started as a small side project, and it's expanded to work with celebrity clientele. I'm going to list them: Jack Harlow, James Corden, Offset, Kodak Black, Rod Wave, Lil Durk, Lil Baby. I mean, the list keeps going. Chief Keef, Soulja Boy, NLE Choppa. Wow, there's a lot. And you also work with the Dallas Cowboys and AT&T. So, wow, I'm out of breath. That was a long list. That is very cool. And I just kind of want to talk about how it started as a small side project and grew to this huge company.
Yeah, thank you so much for the intro. I've been doing this for a while. So the side project started in San Francisco in 2017. I was at a coding camp and I made a pair of shoes for myself because at the time I had some like I was living by myself for 6 weeks. I wanted to get into shoes, wanted to make something unique. So I made a pair for myself. And then from there, the same day I made them, some kid at the camp was like, "Yo, like those are cool. Can I buy them off you?" I was like, "All right, yeah, you can buy them off me. I can just make them again." Then I made another pair, and the next day is like, "Yo, can you make those in blue for me?" And then when got back to Chicago, the basketball team that I was playing for, the kids wanted custom basketball shoes for the games for senior night. I made a few of those, and then I was like, wow, I actually kind of like doing this. And then when I got to college, I was like, I got 4 years. Let's see if I can make this into a real business.
And when you
So,
say you make shoes, what does that mean? You don't actually make it
I
yourself, do you?
no, not yet. I want to, but I customize shoes, so I hand paint them, I dye them, I use fabrics on them and so on. So just any type of customization on Air Forces, Adidas, doesn't really matter as long as like a leather shoe, I can do it.
So, how did this start? Was this ever an idea in your head? Did you ever think that this was something you were going to pursue? Or did this kind of just happen? Somebody said, "Hey, I like those shoes. Can you make me a pair?" And then it just kind of snowballed.
I definitely think it started with like, oh, it just kind of happened, but then I realized like, oh, like there's different avenues I can take and stuff that I can do at home while I'm like going to college, hanging out with friends, playing basketball. Like I can do this on the side and see what happens.
When something starts at a side, it's a little bit hard and risky to fully jump in and commit to something like that. When did you take that leap of faith? Like, this is going to be something that's going to happen for me?
Oh, I think midway through college, I was like, I'm in college. Uh, I'm on the way to 2 degrees. I was like, worst case I can do is keep pursuing it. And then at the end of college, like senior year, I'll make a decision if I want to keep doing this after college, full time, or just like go and get like a finance job or a marketing job. So I think it was like midway through college, I was like, okay, this could be like real legit if I keep putting my all into it and really just focus on this more than like anything else.
So is this your full-time job? Is this strictly what you're doing, is pursuing this business?
Yes.
And how does it feel from where it started to where it is now?
I think it's just a lot more like I didn't know the level it could really go to because like my freshman year of college, I had like 10 pairs in my brother's apartment that I was like living out of for a little bit. And I was like, wow, like 10 pairs is a lot. Like this is like $1,000 worth of shoes. Now 10 pairs is like nothing. Like I have like hundreds and hundreds of pairs in my living room at a time sometimes. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't know the scale could get this big. So I think that's the biggest like moment where like, wow, this is serious. This is like something bigger than I could ever expect it.
Matt, I know you were a one man show. Like, I know that sometimes you'll ask your brothers to help, but because it's so custom and it's your art, does it get difficult to keep growing this company? Like, I mean, how many shoes are you painting a day?
It could vary. I could paint three like difficult designs all the way to like 30 super easy ones in a day. It just kind of depends. Like obviously, the scaling part is something we're still trying to work on. On big projects, I have like my little brother do all the prep work and all the simple stuff. So then when I get in there, I'm just doing all the line work or all the logo stuff. But also there's like a fluctuation where like some months it's just big projects, or like right now it's just like a bunch of small individual orders. So I'm able to handle that because of my lead times I give people.
So let's go back to little Matt. I have a friend of mine that knows you, and she has said that you were always innovative growing up. I mean, you were always doing the next thing, always winning the creative projects. How were you as a kid, and did you kind of see that, I don't know, kind of get into your line of work now? I hope
Yeah, I
that
think
made
growing
sense.
up I knew. Yeah, no, I think growing up as much as I wanted to be like a doctor or just do stuff in like finance, like I always did business throughout my life. So like I think your friend's name's Patricia. She
Shout
would
out.
tell you that. Yeah, she would tell you that like I used to sell stuff in school, like origami. In high school, I was like selling like a lunch stuff. So like if you wanted to go and grab lunch from like a really far place, I would charge you a fee. I would sell snacks in Arizona at school. I started small side projects where I'm just selling stuff for resale, like shoes, sneakers, clothing, and so on, like when the hypebeast eras was going on. So I definitely knew like I like doing business. It gives me more flexibility. Uh, the money to be made is like endless in a sense if you can scale it and like really just have stuff going. So I always thought that I'd probably be in business at the end of the day, but just never to the scale.
Do you want to hear my little business venture when I was little? Remember those smelling pencils that everyone thought was so popular and cool? I was like, I have my own smelling pencils and I'll sell it to everybody. So I'd spray perfume and that's how I would sell it. And then one girl came up to me. She's like, you are scamming me. I know you sprayed perfume. So that was embarrassing. And I never went into business again. But yeah, that reminded me of it. But it's kind of interesting. It's almost like you kind of knew as a child what you wanted to do. All these little memories and things like that and these projects kind of showed you your future path. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I definitely do. Because people, rather than myself, like people kind of remind me, like, oh, you were doing something like this back in the day. Uh, like we knew you were going to do business. And then I kind of look back at what they tell me, like kind of like Patricia or you tell me, like, oh, yeah, I was kind of doing that like all my teen years, all my middle school years. I was like, does kind of make sense where I'm at now.
What made you not take the safe route? I feel like typically people go in the safe decision, after college, like you said, going into marketing or finance. It's like the easy, safe route. What made you say, you know what? I'm not going to go in that way. I'm going to do a creative, different line and different path of life.
Well, I don't know. I looked at it a few different ways. I was like, oh, like getting a job like is a lot harder than people think it is, in my opinion. Like so why not make my own job where I can control everything about it? I think that's like not a safer way, But like if you do everything right and you really believe in yourself, I think that could be a safer play where like I'm controlling my destiny. I'm not relying on any employer. I'm also doing stuff the way I want to do it, so I'm not really listening to anybody because I don't really like listening to people as much as
Me either.
I have to take orders on custom orders and stuff. That and also just there's a salary cap sometimes. Uh, I like to travel. I like to go on missions, as they say. So all my friends that do have real jobs don't have like, they don't have days off like that are super flexible. So I thought like if I build my own path, I can get all the stuff that I want. And it may not be the safest, but it's something that if I actually hone in and work on, I can make it safe.
Well, I mean, it's grown tremendously, like I said in the beginning, like all these celebrity clienteles that you've worked with, like that is, I feel like hard to do. So, who was your first kind of celebrity that you were like, wow, like I cannot believe this. I'm working with this person or this company. What was that feeling that you were feeling? And if you'd like to share, who was it?
Yeah, I got a few like first because all kind of happened during the same month. We had a guy named Lil Zay Osama. He wasn't really big, but he was like 500,000 followers at the time, which was really big for me because I was probably under like 3,000. And I was just getting into it. And then he like kind of took me under his wing. He would fly me out to LA. We would do a bunch of projects. He would help me meet people like Lil TJ, Soulja Boy, and so on. And then after that, through his connections, we networked and got Polo G. And when we were in Polo G, we were like freaking out because me and Rafi flew to Ohio for like his first concert, and we were just like, "Yo, like we're really doing this for Polo G," and it was just like insane because we're in the same room with him. We're like backstage at a show for the first time ever, and we're like, "This is incredible." And then also G Herbo was one that was like one of the first that was like, "Yo, this is like one of my favorite artists." Like I listen to him all the time. Me and my friend always talk about him, and we're just like chilling with him multiple times a month this year. Like it's insane. So
Were you like, pinch me? I can't believe this is real. What were you thinking?
the first few we were definitely like, yo, like this is pretty insane. Like it's fun. Because it's like the experiences you get with them is fun because they live a different lifestyle. They can show you some things. And it's just kind of cool to see. So you're really like, wow, we're just like some random dudes from Chicago and college. Like we should be in class right now, and we're like in LA shooting a music video that's gonna be viewed 10 million times, you know?
Were there, along your process, was there ever naysayers or people were like, Matt, what are you doing? Like, come on, be more realistic. Did you hear those kinds of opinions from people?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like you hear it because you're like, it would be like, oh, you're wasting your time. Like, why are you even doing this? Or like, is it even worth it? Like sometimes like we'd work with celebrity and the deal wouldn't be in our favor. Like we'd have to put up money or we'd have to do work, but it would be like for an experience or maybe some promo that may or may not happen, right?
Hmm.
Because each situation is different. And like my older brother would be like, What are you doing, man? Like, why are you going out there? Like, you're wasting gas, you're wasting your time, da da da." And you just have people, not everybody though, because a lot of people be like, wow, that's cool. Like, you should do it. It's an opportunity. But some people be like, what are you guys doing? And I'd be like, why not? Like, I got nothing better to do. Like, I got the
Life is short.
time, money, resource. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Like, we'll see what happens. Like, worst case, nothing really happens out of it. Like, we tried and we move on.
How about in the beginning of your journey when you first started your business? Did you feel like you had this kind of pressure from people and naysayers, or was it just kind of like, just worked out?
Well, a lot of the people that would say something like, you're not doing what I'm doing, we're like, you don't really understand logistics. So I'm like, a lot of them I would just phase out. We're like, oh, like, well, you don't really know how this works, so it's okay. You don't know how it works. Like, I know
Hmm,
how it works. I know what can happen. I know the possibilities. I know the effects of it, and I don't need to explain that to you. So it's like, all right, like, you say something like, all right, cool, man. Like, you're not doing it. I'm doing it. It's all right. Whatever. Like,
wow.
you don't have any. You don't have any say in it. Like, you tell me like, not to order. Let's say not to order 50 pairs of shoes in advance because it's a waste of money. But like, if I'm doing this business for 4 years, why wouldn't I order 50 pairs? Like 50 pairs. Worst case scenario, I can just sell them for like a small profit margin if I'm getting them in bulk, right?
Hmm,
But like other people don't see that because they don't know the numbers on that. They don't know how many pairs I'm moving a month, but they'll tell me not to do it.
interesting. Wow, that's a good perspective to have. I feel like you do have a very like a calm perspective. I feel like, you know what? If they say that, just ignore it and I know what I'm doing. how do you convince yourself that this is the right path? Like, how do you tell yourself, no, this is leading me to somewhere? Or do you just not know and you're kind of winging it?
A lot of it is winging it. Definitely like in college is like, all right, let's say we'll do this really big project and maybe it will lead to something bigger. Like maybe they'll like my work. Like when I did my first bulk project with like a merchandising company, I was like, whoa, I'm gonna just put everything into it, do my best, deliver it on time, and hopefully they come back and order more. Like that's the only way you can look at it. Like hopefully they like my work enough to work it with me again. Kind of with the rappers, like, okay, maybe I'll run a deal where like I'll just give them the shoe and maybe they'll come back and shop with me again. And then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But we still kind of like tried it.
Do you feel, because you are a one-man band and you have a big clientele, do you ever feel overwhelmed or this is too much work? Are you like so organized in your head that you know when I'm going to start and when I'm going to end?
Oh no, definitely overwhelmed all the time, especially like when we have like we've had like I was going to Bali and we had like 350 pairs of shoes due on the same day before I left.
Excuse me, how much?
350 pairs of shoes due
Jeez.
on the same day. It was like four different projects and a bunch of individual orders and they were all due like I think like October 1st. Like they had to be in hand and we're all freaking out because like do you understand to lace 350 pairs of shoes is literally like 4 days of work? Because it takes 5 minutes to lace a shoe or 3 minutes, whatever you want to call it, right? You multiply that by 300 pairs, that's like 360 100 minutes, and then you divide that by six, that's 600 hours or 60 hours, right?
I
And then
have to
60
math
hours
check
divided by
you on that
24,
one,
like
yeah.
it's 4 days of work to ship it mathematically. So sometimes you run the numbers and you're like,
And you're
yo, we got to get this
drawing.
many pairs.
You're also drawing on each individual
Yeah, and that's
shoe.
just
Like,
lacing. It adds up because like sometimes you like I'm telling you, sometimes you run the numbers in your head and you're like, hey man, I don't know if we're getting this done. And that's why you need like people like my little brother. And sometimes like this last project, I had my mom lace for 2 straight days.
your
She
mom's
laced
like,
for 20
Matthew,
hours.
I'm sick of this.
Yeah,
Where's
she
my
was sick of
check?
it. I was like, don't worry, mom, I'll get you lunch. I'll get you lunch. You stay here and work. I'll get you lunch.
Well,
Like
you're
you don't
kind
gotta
of
make dinner.
running
You gotta make dinner. I'll go buy dinner for us.
you're
Swear,
kind of
that's what
running a
happened.
family business. Like that's what it is, you know? You have these help and these people that want to help you and it's really cool. Can we see the shoe that you're talking about? Like all I'm thinking is what does this shoe look like? I know that you're not done with custom, but can you show us the base, like what it starts with?
Yeah, the base starts with usually an Air Force One. Sometimes it's like a Samba, sometimes like an Adidas or like a Jordan, but it's usually an Air Force One. And then you do stuff where like, I don't know if you can see on camera, you're like just sketching a design on it, on the swoosh, for example, here.
Do you mind zooming in a bit? Like
Yeah.
showing it to the camera a little bit? Yeah. Wow.
And then you can do stuff where like, you start painting parts of it piece
Hmm.
by piece.
And
And
it's
then
not doing justice because I've seen some of the crazy cool shoes that you have done. I mean, I know this is just kind of
yeah.
the beginning and the step, but I mean, you do different laces too. I think you've done like rope laces before on shoes. It's like,
Mhm.
that's really cool. How does it feel to be a 23-year-old entrepreneur? Like, you could tell people, hey, I have my own business. Like, I can't even imagine that feeling.
Yeah, I usually don't like just like talking about it explicitly. I just tell people like I paint shoes or something. Because I just don't like going into like the depth of this stuff sometimes. So it's cool definitely when people find out, but
You're humble. That's what
just
it is.
yeah,
You're
but I
humble.
just I try not to talk about it too much uh when I'm around people.
Well,
Just because
Matt,
like I'm doing it all day.
you're downplaying it, but it is a really cool accomplishment. Like what you've achieved so far, like you should know that. And for somebody that is out there that wants to kind of step into the business field and wants to venture into that creative space, what could they do? What's your advice?
I know it sounds silly, but you literally just gotta start. You gotta start building portfolios, start building your skills. You gotta start just, perfecting your craft. You gotta start reaching out. Like everything starts with starting, which sounds ridiculous.
Hmm.
But I know it's like the same thing for your situation. Like this, you needed to start, you needed to practice, you need to get better, and then it kind of just starts building on itself. As long as you have a good foundation, you're good.
Well, for someone that's like, I want to start a business, I know I'm a creative. I don't know where to go or where to start. Like I don't even know what to do. What is your tips and tricks?
YouTube University.
YouTube
That's
University, what do you mean?
just go on YouTube. If you need something, go on YouTube or Google it. Like every question I've had about my business, I either go on YouTube, and if I can't find on YouTube, I find someone that's done it before and I just reach out to them.
Is there a right way to start a business?
I don't think there's a right way, no.
How did
I
how did
think
you start?
I
Like,
think
can we do
each
step by
business
step?
has
What?
I think each business starts a different way. Like I don't think everyone starts business the same way.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story? How did you start? I know you mentioned you started in San Francisco and then somebody saw your shoe, but when did you have that moment of realization like, "Oh wow, this is something big. This is something real. This is something serious." You know, did you ever have that like aha moment?
Uh I definitely did when people started ordering off my website. Because initially what I started with was an Instagram page. And then based off the Instagram page, I got enough like shoes in my portfolio because I was doing shoes for free. I was doing stuff for 25 bucks just so I can get stuff on my page. And then once I got probably like a good 50 pairs under my belt, I started a website. And then once people started ordering off the website, I was like, wow, like I'm really selling stuff on my own website and it's going well. So I think that was the aha moment, like that first website order.
Matt, I want to know what's going through your brain. I want to know what kind of thoughts you're having. Are they positive? Are they innovative? Like, what are you thinking all the time?
Just thinking how I could grow the business really, where it's like, oh, like who can I reach out to? How can I get more orders? How can I make my shoes better? Like, is there new designs I could work on? Like, I recently posted on my Snapchat, it's like, oh, I want to try this design. Would anyone let me do it on their shoes or would want to buy a shoe for super cheap so I can try the design? I just recently, like literally the other day, I did that. So that was like, okay, now I got a new cool design on my belt and I can do variations of that, but I can show people that I can do the first variation of it. So it's just like you're always thinking about how can you make the business bigger and better.
Hmm. And you also do apparel as well, right? It's not strictly shoes.
Yeah, so I do custom apparel and then I also have my own clothing brand where it's like a lot of cut and sew stuff you just can't buy at the store. So it's like, you're cutting off different panels, you're doing fabric on fabric layering, you're doing hand dye stuff, you're doing custom gradients on clothing and just like custom embroidery and stuff. So doing that on the side as like a second income slash something to go with the shoes. Because like for example, when I go with the rappers, a lot of them get shoes for me, but they're like, "Yo, you got an outfit to go with it, or you got something that I can like wear with it? Like you got your own brand or something?" They'll always ask me. So I was like,
Hmm.
"Well, I'm hanging out with them. I see the culture. I kind of know what's going on. I like it. I like making it. I can design it. Why not do it?" So that's why uh, I started making clothes like about like a year and a half ago.
Matt, I asked you for a custom Letterman jacket. Can you do that? I need a West Virginia jersey. Can we
Uh,
talk about this or do you do
that's a
that?
little out of my skill level right now,
Dang
but
it. But I see it in the
uh,
future. I could see it. College apparel.
yeah,
That's the next venture.
I do a lot of college shoes. I'll tell you that
Why
during
why
commitment season.
why is shoes your favorite? Why isn't it something else? Is it the easiest, do you think? It's the
Uh,
most convenient? Like,
no, I think I just like the actual part. Like before I started doing custom shoes, I liked the aspect of collecting and just like the exclusivity of sh custom shoes. Like you have like PE samples, like player exclusive samples. You have like exclusive drops. You have just stuff you can resell. And like I was into that before custom shoes, so I was like, oh, there's something I can build up on that and on my knowledge of shoes. Why not do that?
what are
And I
the
think
Oh, go ahead.
shoes can. I think shoes can change an outfit.
Hmm. That's a good, yeah, that's true. You could wear all black outfit and then have some cool, snazzy shoes. Do you do heels? Have you went into
Nah.
heels? Yeah. Would you ever do custom heels?
I've had people uh ask to do like red bottom heels.
Oh, cool. Louis Vuitton. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, but it's like I was like, it's not gonna look good. It's not the same because like the bottom like heels usually is like like a wood grain stuff. So like painting that's not gonna look as good as like when you
Mm.
have like a custom molded
You
right
stand on
bottom.
you stand on authenticity. I love it.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons you have learned with your business that started in 2017?
Definitely takes time to grow. Slow growth better than no growth. And then also like you need to be able to like invest and definitely take some risk. Like not all, obviously all risk's not going to pay off, but like calculated risk is like your friend.
What do you mean by calculated risk?
Like for example, kind of back to like when like I was telling you a story like how Patrick told me like, oh, is it worth even doing something like that?
Patrick is
Because I
your
had
older brother, correct?
yes,
Gotcha.
like like one of my goals was to like meet Chief Keef, obviously, as you know. And there was just like a bunch of like I had to go to LA 3 different times for just the possibility of meeting him because I was like going through his friends, I was going through his manager, and like he could be there, I could pull up, he could be busy, but then now like it all worked out. I'm friends with him, got his contact, been to his house, whatever, been to his shows. But like at the time, it was kind of ridiculous because like they're asking me to bring, I think it was like multiple pairs of shoes. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get paid for it until I pulled up to LA with them to the studio, and then I didn't know if I was gonna meet him. So it was like that was like a risk we took, or a risk of, yo, can we handle 200 pairs and do it in 2 months? Can we do that for a company and like make sure we deliver on time for an event? Like it was just like a risk that we were like, oh, let's try it, let's see what happens.
I kind of know the story. I remember you telling me earlier, but I'd love to hear your Chief Keef story. Chief Keef is this Chicago rapper, correct? I mean, he's huge. Everybody knows him in Chicago. Tell me the story of how you had a goal and you went with it.
Yeah, the story is long. I don't really remember it because it's been like years now. But it definitely started with like me reaching out to one of his close friends, and then he randomly like texted me back in the middle of the night. He's like, "Yo, send me your number." Called him. He was like, "Yo, like I'm trying to get these pairs. Me and Keith are trying to do this. Is it possible?" And then I was like, "Yeah." So
Didn't you?
first
I'm
time I
sorry,
shipped it out to him.
not to interrupt you. Didn't you say that if you had like a bet with one of your friends, if you meet Chief Keef, you're gonna give them a full, what was it, full vacation or something along those lines?
Yeah, it was like we'll go to Jamaica
That's what it was, because he said you couldn't do it,
because it was
right?
like end yeah it was like end I think it was like by the end of college or something, and I did it like halfway through my freshman year.
So he was like, "Okay, Matt, I don't believe that you're gonna meet Chief Keef," and then you said, "What did you say to him?"
I was like, I think it was something like, oh, we'll go to Jamaica if I can do it by the end of college or something like that. It was something I don't know if he promised it or I promised it. Like we'll go somewhere crazy, uh, if I do it by the end of college, and I ended up doing it by like middle freshman year, and then I think we ended up going to uh like Florida or something.
Did you feel like you spoke
I
that
don't know.
into existence? I feel like a part of like you had to
Yeah, but it
have.
was like we I was trying really hard. And it was like to the point where like I'm reaching out to a bunch of people. I'm reaching out to him directly. I'm asking people like, does anyone have any connections? Because it was just like a fun goal where like when you have a goal like that, it not only helps you grow the business because you have to like make sure your work's on top of your game. Because like you can't go with someone like a Chief Keef or any other rapper and just like show work. So like it makes you want to build a better performance. It makes you want to be more just be better, build your portfolio, your brand. So you get like more visible. Because it was one of the point where like if I'm trying to work with Chief Keef, he's not gonna work with somebody who has 500 followers. Let me get to 10,000 followers and then start reaching out to him. So you're doing all that work, building your brand while you're trying to get this bigger goal. So like it helps you.
How did you build a brand? Like it's easy to say I have to be better, but how did you do that?
It's through making more shoes, by posting more, uh, following people, running giveaways, and then you get to more complex stuff like running ads, having pages shout you out, having promo with influencers, whether it's on TikTok, shoe influencers or like rappers. So there's so many ways you can market your brand and just be better. It just depends what route you want to take.
So how did you react when you first met Chief Keef, your idol?
I mean, I was in shock. Like you literally have like a moment of shock. You're like, damn, like wow, like it's really him. And then like then you kind of cool down, you grab your picture, and then
You
like
stop
for him, he
stumbling
let
over
me
your
talk to him.
words. I feel like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
no,
speaking
definitely, you
English.
definitely are. Definitely are. And then like I was blessed because when I first met him, he was at an auto shop and like he let us chill with him at the auto shop for like 2 hours. So I got to like talk to him for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And then like he had his car there, they were getting worked on. So we were just like chilling for 2 hours, which is really cool. And I got to ask him all like all the questions I had. He gave me some advice and just so on from there.
What is the future of Kicks of Chicago? Where do you see it going? Or can you not give it away?
I'm telling you, it changes every couple months. If you asked me this question 2, 3 years ago, I would have told you there's probably like a store coming, maybe a storefront, maybe there's classes coming, maybe there's, a collab with the clothing brand where like it's a joint venture or something. I wish I could tell you, I don't know. It could be more corporate collaborations. If you asked me like 2 years ago too, like I'll tell you like more celebrity stuff, it's more partnerships, but honestly, I don't know. Going by day and just hopefully go like stuff keeps going up.
But are you having like ideas and visions in your mind? Like, do you see it in your head? Are you painting that picture?
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully at the moment I'm just thinking it's more like corporate collaborations. So it's more I'm working with companies and just doing bigger volume projects. That's I think the direction I want to go. Because it's fun, the money's there. I like doing the same shoe a lot of times for one project because like the end picture, you've seen the pictures, like
Yeah.
you line up like 100 some pairs of the same design. It just looks cool. And then it's also more like I can scale that easier than doing 100 individual customizations instead of just one design, 100 pairs.
Well, speaking of that, Dallas Cowboys. How did that happen? You worked with Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I've worked actually with a lot of companies that I haven't listed, but they were a really good client. They still are a good client. They just emailed me. I got an email one day about like, hey, like we got a project. It'd be like 100 some shoes. Can you look at the designs? Can we hop on a call? And then, from there you talk over weeks and weeks, finalize designs, and then next thing you know, like the design comes through and it's like for the Dallas Cowboys, they're like, oh, we're trying to do this for the team, we're trying to do this for the employees, and then next thing you know, you're doing a bunch of projects for them. So
I've always wondered, this is every time I see your post on Instagram or social media, I'm like, what if you mess up? Like, do you scratch the shoe? Because you're painting, like this is actual paint. You're not just sketching, like you're also painting on top of it. I'm sure there's been a few mess ups here or there. Like, what do you do?
you can fix it most of the time. Unless you're like cutting stuff, most of the time you can either cover it up or like acetone it off, or most of the like if you're making a mess, like you're messing up, a lot of the time you just need like a white color to fix it. And there's a way to like, you can airbrush it over, you can paint it over, you can acetone the remaining paint and just like clean up the area. There's ways to fix it. Some things you can't fix. And in that case, you either tell the client or you literally have to scrap the shoe sometimes, but like that's happened like probably once in like a million times for me.
Hmm,
But it's
you're
just
that
like there's always
talented.
something to fix it. Nah, nah, but
No,
like you do
seriously.
it so much, you kind of know like what you can't do and like what you can't fix.
Yeah,
Um, and then you can always like improvise, as you say, on like a solution. So,
gotcha. And with Motivation Monday, I love to ask guests, what is your Motivation Monday advice? What is something that you've learned on
uh,
your 23 years of being here and being an entrepreneur and a creative? What have you learned?
that I think things are gonna work out. You just gotta keep doing you.
I like it. And one last question. You're probably like, oh my gosh. um, what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Um, that do stuff in life that like you want to do. Don't really like listen to other people. I think that's some advice I've taken myself already, but I would give that advice to like make sure whatever you're doing, like you're enjoying it.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Matt, for taking the time, sitting here with me, talking with me. I know that you're going to help a lot of people, and it was really cool to hear your story. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.